Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Ria Cotrillo. Today on the program, the House Speaker asks Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. to return to the country. House opposition wants to investigate the massive oil spill. And fears of political amendments as House lawmakers pass a resolution calling for a constitutional convention. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Castro joins us in the show. Family and supporters call for justice during the burial of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo, who died at the hands of armed men on March 4. Our senior correspondent, George Cahiles, has scenes from the town of Shaton.
An emotional farewell to Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Families and supporters call for justice after his gruesome death at the hands of 10 armed men on March 4. Faces of national officials are plastered all over the place, as if they are watching tears well up and wails echo. While the governor was being put in his final resting place. Despite the brazen murder of the governor and 8 others, the Degamo family says they have no plans to use violence and take revenge. Especially against Representative Arnie Teves, who has been identified as the alleged mastermind of the killings. Their challenge, return to the Philippines and face the charges.
Gusto ko lang talaga silang makita behind bars. At sana yun na lang, sana talagang pag lumaban sila, mamatay na rin sila eh. Kasi plastic din ako, pag sabihin ko sa'yo, okay lang. Pero pag nanlaban at talagang you will be doing Negros Oriental a big favor.
The Degamos are wondering why Teves is asking for a 2-month leave extension from Congress. They are more puzzled why he is saying that there's a threat to his and his family's lives.
When they enter our house and did that to the governor, was that a sign of fear? That's not a sign of fear. That's a sign na kaya ko kayo, kahit gobyerno pa kayo, kaya ko kayo. That is what he is telling the people. At ang kaya niyang sabihin lang sa mga tao, ay kaya ba namin yung gobyerno? Ay, kayo pa nga. Kayo pa kaya? Hindi. No? That's drama. Pag sinabi niya natatakot siya, hindi siya takot. Naghihintay pa siya na makabayad, makasuhol kung sinong kayang suhulan.
The Degamo family says they are decided to continue the fight and see the perpetrators in prison. But they wish that justice will not only be given to the governor, but to the rest of the victims of killings over the years. From Shaton, Negros Oriental, George Cahiles, CNN Philippines.
The leadership of the House of Representatives has referred to the Ethics Committee the request of Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves Jr. for a 2-month leave. Let's go straight to the source of this story. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Castro. Congresswoman, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. So let's start with that. The House Ethics and Privileges Committee will be probing your colleague at Congress, Negros Oriental Representative Arnolfo Teves. Tell us a little bit or give us a rundown of what the focus of the committee's probe will be.
Yes, good morning, Ria, and to your viewers. So you're right. We met last Wednesday, the Ethics Committee, and one of the decisions that we have made in that committee is to take the jurisdiction on the absence without leave of Representative Arnie Teves. Number 2, that our chairman, Mon Estares, Representative Estares, to write a letter to Representative Teves on what are the reasons why he is not yet coming to the Congress, and then that's it. So we write a letter and we will we will wait for 5 days for his answer.
Congresswoman, can you confirm if Congressman Teves has already received a letter from the committee to explain his extended absence?
As of now, Ria, I cannot confirm, but last Wednesday, our chairman already sent a letter through his email.
Okay, so that was sent last Wednesday via email. So, ma'am, yung hinihingi ata ni Congressman Teves ay isang 2-month extension of his House leave. Do you think this is justifiable? Yes, Congresswoman, are you still there? Okay, so I think we may have lost that line. We were speaking to ACT Teachers Party List Representative
Yes.
Franz Castro. Oh, ma'am, you're still there. Can you hear me, po?
Yes.
Okay, so I
Yes,
was
I
saying
can
that,
hear you,
that Congressman Teves is seeking a 2-month extension of his leave from the House. Do you think this is a justifiable or reasonable request?
So I think he has to justify these 2 months. So if he's saying that it regards to the security, I heard from our speaker that he will assure the security of Representative Teves and his family. So I think the assurance was made by Speaker Romualdez.
Now, it's been said po that Congressman Teves left the country for medical reasons, for medical treatment. Do you have the details regarding this? What medical treatment did he need exactly?
I'm sorry, Ria, no, I'm not privy to that because the letter is sent to the Secretary General and to our Speaker, Romualdez, for them to know the medical. But I heard it is on STEM operation or whatever.
You mean stem cell po?
Stem cell procedure.
All right. Now, speaking of House Speaker Martin Romualdez, the Speaker wants Congressman Teves to come back as soon as possible and avail of all the legal remedies following his alleged link to the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel de Gamo. You support this, ma'am?
Yes, we support the gesture of our speaker to secure our colleague Representative Arnolfo Teves so that later on, if there would be a case, he should face it.
Now, ma'am, maybe you can play out different scenarios here for us. What would happen if Congressman Teves, does not oblige this request of the House Speaker and completely ignores the probe and stays overseas, wherever he may be, for this period of 2 months that he's asking for, even if it's not granted by the House leadership?
There are other remedies, no? For example, country-to-country remedies or extradition. So the appropriate agency or our institution can avail of that so that Representative Teves could come back in our country. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng magtagal siya doon, no? Na wala siyang authority to travel or authority or wala siyang leave of absence na formal.
All right. If ever, ma'am, this his not coming back or obliging these requests, does that leave him open to expulsion from the House of Representatives?
Well, after 5 days, if Representative Teves would not answer our letter or the letter of the Committee on Ethics, we will decide on Monday, and then we will be having another meeting, the Ethics Committee, on Monday.
So what are the possible decisions that would come out of that discussion on Monday po?
I still don't know, Ria. I think it would be up for the committee to decide whether to give extension or to give more time for Representative Teves. And I don't know what would be the decision of the committee, kasi it would be decided by more than 20 members of the committee. So hindi ko pa siya pwedeng matansya kung anong magiging decision.
Right. Ma'am, a few days ago, I spoke to Congressman Teves' lawyer, and he said specifically that Congressman Teves is not in hiding. Do you feel he is in hiding, though?
Well, dahil meron naman siyang legal counsel na nagre-represent sa kanya, so tingin ko naman ginagawa naman niya yung paraan so that he can communicate with the leadership, the House of Representatives.
All right, ma'am. Now, unfortunately, this assassination of Governor Digamo is not an isolated incident. As you know, there has been a recent spate of ambushes and killings, for example, in Lanao and in Apari, of local officials. How big of a concern is this for you and your colleagues that there is these acts of violence being committed against elected officials?
So this area, this is, I think, is a big concern about the security of not only of our officials of the government, even common people is so afraid, no, of what is happening now. And you know naman, Ria, no, not only this time lang nangyayari yan. Even in Negros Oriental, there are extrajudicial killings happening a few years back, since 2019. So wala naman ding nagagawang investigasyon, ano, dahil sa nangyaring yan. So talagang we can see here an impunity and insecurity for our people and not only officials of the government.
Now, ma'am, si Senator J.V. Ejercito, he was also a guest on the program a few days ago, and he wants to zero in on the so-called private armed groups or private armies that are usually involved in these crimes. What's your take on this, and what do we know of different political figures or different political families having these so-called personal armies?
Yes, it is already a known fact on the private armies, especially the political dynasty. So I think this should be dismantled. This political, private armies of those having that.
All right, ma'am. And is the House going to take any specific action against this?
Well, meron ng mga Ria, there are some resolutions and bills to investigate these private armies, and there are also bills that dismantle these private armies. Kaya lang it is still in the committee. Hindi naman ito dinidiscuss sa mga committees pa.
Okay. Do you have any legislation, though, in the pipeline, or any thoughts about that regarding how to dismantle and take apart these private armies?
For us, this private army should be dismantled. Kailangan talaga ng security ng ating mga politiko, pero hindi dapat nagme-maintain ng mga private armies. So tingin natin ay hindi lang yung security ng mga officials ang dapat tingnan ng ating gobyerno, pati na rin yung security ng ating mga mamamayan. So we have seen in the past na even opposition, even activists, ay talagang hindi sila free dito sa mga harassment and extrajudicial killings. And this should be stopped.
All right, ma'am, we do need to take a short break right now. Stay with us. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Do stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo, and our source today is ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro. Ma'am, welcome back to the program. I want to talk now about the oil spill in Oriental Mindoro. I understand the Makabayan Bloc wants to look into the oil spill situation there. Can you tell us what exactly you want to find out on top of what has already been discovered regarding this catastrophe?
Yes, so the Makabayan Bloc, led by the Gabriela Women's Party, filed a resolution to investigate in aid of legislation. The incident happened in Oriental Mindoro, on oil spill. Particularly, we would like to find out, and we would like to have a since this is 18 days na no on the oil spill. We would like that the government should speed up its activity on controlling the oil spill. Number one, and then number two, and for our government and the owner of the shipping line to compensate the
All right, I think we
yung
lost the
kanilang
line
mga
there
kabuhayan
somewhat.
and yung kanilang mga trabaho.
All right,
So yun yung yun ang aming resolution. At alam natin na meron din naman tayong budget kaugnay niyan na maibigay sana as compensation.
now, yesterday po, we spoke to Paula Mayor Jennifer Cruz, and she said that the owner of the oil tanker has yet to present a complete plan for affected areas. How big of a role or how big an involvement would you like to see from the owner of the sunken tanker?
So the owner of the tanker should immediately compensate our fishermen and all the people affected in the oil spill, particularly 18 days na po yan. So yung kanilang dapat na kinikita, yung kanilang damage na nagawa dito sa ating mga kababayan ay mabayaran nitong owner nitong tanker. So there should be a plan, and the government should push this, to force this this shipping line to pay for the compensation and damage. And not only it's not only our kababayan who were affected, even yung natin, yung kalikasan natin and environment that was already affected. So we think the DNR, LGU, and all concerned agencies should have pull themselves together so that matulungan na natin itong ating mga kababayan.
Ma'am, how about yung lumabas sa Senate investigation na wala palang permit ang oil tanker ng MT Princess Empress? What were your thoughts and reactions to that?
Well, natuturuan nakita natin yung Marina at saka yung Philippine Coast Guard ay natuturuan about this permit. So, at the end siguro ng investigation, magkaroon talaga siguro ng guidelines kung paano makasecure itong permit. Is it the Marina ba o yung PCG? At paano ito, bago maglayag, for example, yung mga oil tanker ay dapat ini-inspeksyon. So that is our take on that. Tapos sa Senado kasi parang mabagal yung investigation. So gusto natin na dito sa Kongreso ay ma-complement yung investigation by the Senate kasi tumatagal yan, apektado yung mga mamamayan, and our main concern in our investigation is for the shipping lines to compensate. So yun ang gusto natin, ma-compensate na agad yung ating mga kababayan.
Right. So many different people and sectors are impacted by this. On the part of environmental groups, they're lamenting na until now wala pa ring charges or actions against parties that should be held accountable for the oil spill. Do you think cases should be filed immediately, and what cases would these be?
Yes, that is true, Ria, and it is also included in our resolutions. So meron tayong mga yung halimbawa yung oil spill act, meron tayo niya na RA. Tapos yung sa pollution, yun yung dapat na ikaso, no, yung mga violations na ginawa noong tanker.
Now, ma'am, there were foreign experts who visited the site of the spills, and these foreign experts, their assessment that they shared with the Pola LGU is that recovery from this oil spill could take at around maybe 3 years. They said the cleanup could take 3 to 6 months, but actual recovery would be around 3 years. That being the case, what should the government do given this long-term problem? When we spoke to Mayor Jennifer Cruz yesterday, she said yung calamity fund nila hindi na talaga kaya.
Yes, so unang-una, Ria, no, there is a law tungkol dun sa oil spill. At meron doong meron tayong budget supposedly doon sa iba't ibang agency for this kind of calamity. This already a calamity. And if you can remember, even in Guimaras, di ba? Until now, meron pa ring nagsasuffer tungkol sa oil spill. So this really would take years. Kaya there should be already a pag-usapan na siguro yung plan about the economics of the people, yung kanilang mga trabaho, kabuhayan dito habang habang nagkakaroon ng paglilinis dito sa ating karagatan. Talagang matatagalan ito, and I think we don't have that capacity, and we need the international help or international support so that we can have the clean up of this oil spill.
Yes, ma'am, you mentioned Guimaras. So, this one in Oriental Mindoro, it's hardly the first oil spill that the country has experienced. Have we not learned how to better respond to calamities like this? What action would you like to see be taken moving forward?
Yes, so I think so also that we have not learned from our previous experience. So I think with our investigation and inquiry, we would assess if there would be some amendments in the related law that are related to calamity, related to to ocean, and related to environment, and related to oil spill.
All right, ma'am. Do stay with us here on the program. We just need to take a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. Our source today, ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro. Ma'am, welcome back to the program. Let's talk now about charter change. You voted against the Constitutional Convention or CONCON bill. In your view po, do you think this bill was being railroaded? For Senate President Mig Zubiri, he also questioned the speed at which Chacha moved at the lower house. What's your reaction?
Yes, so that would be a valid observation by the Senate President. Wala pa yatang isang buwan. There are only 2 or 3 committee hearings, and then there are 4 provincial consultations. And then we have already approved. So talagang ni-railroad. So tingin natin talagang na-railroad itong Chacha. So I think that the president, the Senate President is true.
Now, the focus here regarding this charter change, of course, is the economy. Do you trust that your fellow lawmakers will only focus on economic provisions?
And I think when we have a CONCON, we will not avoid the delegates of the CONCON to touch or to reform the political part of our constitution. In fact, there are also bills and provisions filed by our colleagues about the term extensions and political reforms. So I think it is not only the economic reform that would be touched, even the political or the term extensions.
All right, ma'am, let's shift the conversation now to the largest Balikatan exercises to date between the Philippines and the U.S. That's going to be happening next month. Some 17,000 troops will be joining. Do you welcome these joint military exercises po?
No, kasi this would create the pressure na to the China. Magkakaroon na agad talaga ng ng problema tayo in terms of the security. So we know naman that the China and US have this talaga rivalry, and then as I said before, parang maiipit tayo sa dalawang nag-uumpugang bato, this China and US. So we are worried and afraid na madadamay tayo dito sa gera, napipintong gera ng US and China. And of course, 17,000, this unprecedented kasi nung mga nakaraan, mga lang siya, mga hundreds lang, pero ngayon ay thousands na. There will be 12,000 yata na mga US troop, and then 5,000 mga AFP. So talagang nakaka-worry ito, no, Ria, in terms of our national security.
Yeah, ma'am, also, regarding this year's exercises, there's going to be a special emphasis put on naval drills, including the sinking of target boats in Palawan. And as you've already said, this will increase tensions further with China, but there's no stopping these exercises. They are going to happen. What is your recommendation for maintaining as amicable ties as possible with China?
Well, we have a resolution, no, Ria, no, to investigate itong nangyayaring EDCA tsaka yung balikatan, and what would be its effect to our national security and our country. So talagang kailangan pag-isipan ng ating gobyerno, ng ating security forces, ano yung magiging effect niyan sa ating bansa. At tingin natin ay sana hindi na tayo sumama sa mga ganitong mga exercises. Totoo naman na talagang lamang mahina ang ating armed forces in terms of naval capacity. Pero at this time na merong conflict ang US at China, so talagang we will be at the middle.
All right, ma'am, that is all we have time for, but thank you for being here this morning. ACT Teachers Party List Representative Franz Castro. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Ria Tanwat Cotrillo. You're watching CNN Philippines.